now it's my privilege to talk a little bit more to Carrie and David. Carrie and David, of course, have been hosting the conference for us this morning. And I approached them. I've known Carrie and David for many years, and approached them and asked them whether they would host this conference, because I knew they had so much to bring to it. And so, David and Carrie, I wondered whether you could tell us all how it was that you first got introduced to this whole issue, the trans non-binary world, in terms of your family and your lives.
Well, we have 4 children, as Carrie said right at the very beginning. And it started with our 3rd child in year 6, somewhere between 10 and 11. Coming to us and making an announcement to Carrie and myself.
And the whole family in the kitchen.
Yeah, whole family in the kitchen. My name is now Ian.
And I am
a boy. And the response was fairly typical of the Grant family. The elder 2 siblings went, Ian? Why did you choose
dreadful name? Sorry, anyone called in.
I'm sorry, it was them, it wasn't us, honestly. And the entire sort of objection was about the name rather than about the fact that Imi, as was now Ian, who was a boy. And I think maybe because of that, Ian, as was, came out maybe 15 times. Just said, by the way, I don't know if I've told you this. I think expecting, I don't know if they were expecting kind of, backlash of horror and disappointment or resistance. But I think that what it was for us was, okay, what does this mean? Let's try and find out. Let's try and see what this means, because, it's all very well someone saying that, but they're 10 years old. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Was it a shock to you, or had you guessed this was on its way?
That's a really good question. I don't think we did think it was on its way, actually. I mean, I think the main thing, because we're looking at this across 3 children, who one is in their 20s and 2 are in their teens. I think that each has got their own journey. And I think that's the most important thing for us, was just kind of respect the journey. Like, where is this person? They might be completely settled on this is my identity, and another child might not be so settled on that and might be questioning that identity. And I think our job as parents is to be those shape-shifting parents that kind of get around the child and say, where are you heading? Where's this going? All the different parts of you, what did the things that make who you are? We're interested in you developing those. So let's just see where that happens. So, I have to say, in a really something that I will admit that I was not very proud of now, was that maybe 3 years ago, their now eldest child slipped me a piece of paper. It's a little bit like the lady was saying earlier about their child texting.
Yeah.
So my child slipped me a piece of paper,
the same thing he texted,
again in the kitchen, and it said, I am non-binary. And I turned to my oldest child and just went, yeah, lovely, oh, well done you, and then completely ignored it. And then a year later, or 2 years later, our middle child, of the 3 oldest ones, came out as non-binary. And I went into a kind of, oh, right, that's it. I've got to learn everything about this subject so that I can really support my children. And of course, the older child went, I did that like a year or so ago. And all you did was say, well done. So I think it's about really hearing our children. And that's, for me, is something, I've got it wrong in the past. I don't always get it right, but I'm keen to learn. And ultimately, I love my children. So hopefully the right heart will come out.
So we have 3 non-binary children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all actually quite different kinds of non-binariness on that journey. And for each of them, it's really essential, as Carrie's just said, that we are learning as they discover who they are, for us to discover who they are. I think that when it started, Carrie talks about, the need to look into it, to study it, to get to understand the subject from the perspective of people who are non-binary, from the people who've made the journey. or transgender and have made that journey. And I think that I probably spent too much time trying to transplain to my kids stuff that they were actually living through that I wasn't and knew very little about. I think one of the things that I've learned just as a dad in this situation is that for the first time in my life, I've learned the reason why I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I'm supposed to use them in those proportions. I don't think I ever really grasped that fully before.
What this has been a journey then, and some of it much more recent than perhaps people would imagine, just in these last couple of years. So, what does your support for your children now look like?
Wow, that's it. I think it crosses a whole load of different areas. I think the first thing for me, certainly with when someone is non-binary, I think it's understanding where that's coming from. I think to begin with, I just thought, I just need to get their pronouns right. And then that's all I need to do. I don't really, I didn't understand at that point what they are asking of me is to fully understand who they are and how they see the world, and that they don't want to live in a binary world. So for me, that was a massive mindset change that leads to getting their pronouns right. So for me, it's not just about, that's the very bottom minimal thing, is to get someone's pronouns right, but actually to fully understand where that person might be coming from and understanding the language, understanding if someone is non-binary masc or non-binary femme, or what those things might be. What does that mean to each child? Each person is very different. So yeah. and the biggest thing I think is this word dysphoria, which is when you don't feel right in your body, you don't feel you're in the right gender in your body. So I think it's coming alongside those bits of the walk for each of our children, and providing a safe space for them to be able to talk, not just about here I am, this is my identity, but actually, where are you on that journey with your identity? Where are your doubts in that journey? Without jumping in, without actually parents thinking, well, where I want this to end, I've got the conclusion. The conclusion is actually they're just going to go back to being a nice little girl. No, it's saying you be who you need and want to be, and I will be there for you because I am your parent and I love you, and I will support you and I will learn about you. And so it's coming without a conclusion, which is quite hard for us as adults, isn't it? We want to know, okay, so where's this going to end? Just choose the easy road, please.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like CJ said earlier, no one would choose this road. This is really not an easy road.
Yeah, it's not a fad. Put it this way, there are easier fads.
Oh gosh, there are.
Yeah, so it's difficult as a parent, isn't it? It's difficult as a human being, because we all want to have an end that we know, a destination that we're headed to. We want it all wrapped up. That's awkward in itself, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is awkward, Steve, and the awkwardness is in recognizing that actually our children's story is their story.
It's their story.
It's not my story. I have no right to write any part of the story, to script it, or to direct it. My role in it is to stand alongside them. I mean, I discovered something as recently as yesterday. I was out having lunch with one of our children, and suddenly it's like a penny that had been hovering over the lid of the tin dropped. And it was that they hadn't changed. And my perception of them had changed when I thought they had changed. But they are who they've always been. They've just spent time discovering who they are. And at the point that they are discovering who they are, they're feeding back to us what they're discovering. And we're catching up with who they are. But the fact is, the same child that I'm looking at 19 is the child I was looking at 9. The fact that so much of their understanding and recognition of who they are has altered, and therefore so has mine. They haven't changed. They've just grasped and are fully grasping who they are. And so it's my responsibility not to not to actually want to change them, because I can't change them back. You can't go back to something you never actually were.
You both talk about the number of times you've got it wrong, get it wrong. In our private conversations, that's come across to me all the time. Your ability to say, "Oh, we really mucked up there." Which,
oh my gosh, yeah. Can I just say that? That's why this kind of forum is so important, because, you know, David and I have got a lot of different things that are happening in our family. You know, there's a lot of different areas where, you know, we're a mixed race family. We've got neurodiversity in our family. We've got all these different intersections, but actually there is a structure for all of them. So there's the kind of thing like with race, we know with the Black Lives Matter movement, for instance. I know I'm digressing here, but you know, there so many people going, yeah, but what about white people? What about white people? You know, it's like, okay, we've heard a lot from white people. Thank you very much. Can we just hear the black voice? And it's similar in this situation. You know, we're not here to impose our opinion on our child. We're not there to impose what we think they should do or shouldn't do. It's for them to find that out. We can shepherd it. We can say, okay, what about, we can ask those really good open questions that help them to understand themselves. But ultimately, it's about really listening. It's about really listening. And actually, sometimes I do ask dumb questions, and I've got one child I can ask those dumb questions with. But, you know, another of our children will say, I do not have to give a reason for my existence every day of my life. Google is free.
And
you know,
and yet another one, Steve, did something the other day to me that's really cheeky, but I laughed so much that I asked them a question sort of around this issue, and they went like, I expressed an opinion, and they went, and I said, what are you doing? And they said, I'm looking to see where I asked for your opinion.
So we're learning.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And we're learning. And you know what? The best thing that we can do, and I think we have concluded this, is to create an environment where nobody has to hide, where none of our children has to pretend to be something they're not. You know, it's where none of them feel as though there are things that they can't say or can't experience or can't walk through because there are no-go areas. If we create an environment where they can grow into who they are, and this goes for every child, surely, into who they are, and then endorse, encourage, and support who they are, then that's what we should do.
Can I also say, I think it's really important to provide a forgiving environment. I know that sometimes, and hear me on this, often we worry so much that our questions are going to reveal our heart. And the question might go, oh my gosh, if I've just said that, and I've realized even in the question, I've just revealed I'm racist. Oh my gosh, in my question, I've just revealed that I'm transphobic. We need to get over our fragility, because it's not about us, it's about them, whoever that.
Because sometimes you're revealing something you didn't even know until you asked the question.
You're revealing your heart, and your heart might be all of those things. But what we're saying is, I'm committing to change my heart. I'm wanting to change my heart. I'm wanting to change my mindset. Help me out here. And I'm really sorry if in asking that question, I've revealed something about myself that I then need to go away and learn and change.
David and Carrie, thank you very much indeed. We're coming to the conclusion, almost out of time, but I think the things you've said in just these last few minutes are so helpful. This journey that we're all on, which is evolutionary for us all, isn't it? We're constantly changing. Yeah. When I often think about my own attitude to life and my faith, etc., even when I say something is final, I believe this. I know, of course, it's really provisional because I'm growing. Everything that's final is actually provisional. And I think you demonstrate that openness so well, so wonderfully, so graciously. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think what we also want to do